Good morning, everybody. Today's reading is 1 Samuel 24:4. Then the men of David said to him, "This is the day of which the Lord said to you, Behold, I will deliver your enemy into your hand, that you may do to him as it seems good to you." And David arose and secretly cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Saul had been hunting David in order to kill him. He needs to attend to his needs. So he goes alone without his bodyguard into a cave. Unknown to Saul, David and his men were staying in the recesses of that very cave. Apparently, the Lord had already spoken to David, telling him that a day would come when his enemy Saul would be delivered into his hands. It was obvious to David's men that this was that day. After all, how likely was it that Saul would come into that particular cave by chance? And would there ever be another time when Saul was alone and at the mercy of David and his men? It must have been the Lord who had arranged this. Having listened to his men, David arose with his sword or dagger. No doubt they are expecting David to kill Saul. But David just cuts off a corner of Saul's robe. How does David manage to do this secretly? We aren't told. But we know it must have been a very large cave. Possibly Saul had laid aside his robe to attend to his needs in another part of the cave. Or perhaps there was so much noise coming from the thousands of soldiers waiting outside that Saul couldn't hear David approaching. David didn't harm Saul, but even what he did do troubled his conscience. He is smitten that he has done something against the Lord's anointed, and he says this to his men. It is these words that restrain them. It is probable that some of them were thinking they would kill Saul themselves, even if David wouldn't. How we act when opportunities present themselves surely reveals who and what we are and how closely we are walking with the Lord. Do we return unkindness with kindness, hatred with love, or do we give back like for like? Do we trust the Lord that He Himself will work out His good purposes for our lives? Or do we take matters into our own hands? Do we honor the Lord in our choices? Or do we do what we think is best for ourselves? May the Lord work in our hearts and give us grace so that in all and every circumstance, what seems good to us is what would please the Lord. Amen. Have a great day.